Yo, what's up guys, SK here, and today we're going to take a look at Savantis, Mausoleum, Lich, Respite. Now first when you get into the dungeons, you're going to have to clear the ads out by running in and grabbing the ads. Avoid the boss while you can. The boss is that floating mob in the background, the Soul Eater. It's actually a pretty easy boss to fight. It does move around a lot. The ads here are ghouls, specimens, and like stuff like that. And they are not really hard. They do stun lock you, they do knock you down, but once you get past that and just dodge around, you'll be able to go ahead and wipe them out pretty quickly, and then you'll be able to go into the boss room and fight the boss. Now the boss itself is not really that hard. It does move around a lot. It is kind of annoying for melee classes because you're constantly on the chase for this boss. So you're gonna have to deal with that. There's no real things I can tell you about doing anything when it comes to advice for this part. Just do your best, I guess. I mean, this boss is one of the easiest bosses in this dungeon. I want to say this is actually the easiest boss in the dungeon. It just moves around a lot, to be honest. Now, the boss's attacks are all mid-ranged attacks. They do hit close range if you're, like, I guess slightly out of the way within like 2 meters. You'll get hit, but if you're right up under the boss, you won't get hit for a lot of the attacks. If you are a long range class, though, you're probably gonna have some problems because a lot of attacks do arc outwards, like the soul slash, like the scythe slash you see right there. It does arc outwards, and sometimes he does this thing where he points a scythe at you or scythe arm, and it puts you in an animation lock to where you have to do a button input to escape from it. I've never been caught by it, and I've never been hit by it, so I don't know what it actually does. I've tried to get caught by it. I've tried to like stand a distance to see if that would work, but nothing really worked. So at around 70%, he's going to go towards the door that you didn't come through, and he's going to go into an animation where he's talking about taking your soul. What you want to do at this point is spread out. Spread out from each other, spread out from the boss, because there are a few things that can happen here. If the boss is, if you're under the boss when he does his animation, what he does is he's going to blow you out of your soul or suck you out of your soul. One way he's going to pull you out, he's going to pull you in, and the other one he'll blow you out. We don't know how to see which one he does. He just does it randomly. The best thing for you to do is to be away from the boss, like I said, because you're gonna have to run back towards your soul. If your soul is stuck under the boss, you're gonna have a harder time trying to get to it. Generally, you're gonna try to remember where you were staying, so you can try to go after your own soul and not trip anyone else up. Because if you do miss the soul phase and he collects the soul, he will actually one-shot the person that doesn't have the protection, and he will get an attack buff that lasts for about a minute. And then all of his attacks are stronger, of course, because of the attack buff, and the attack ranges are very much wider, which means even close range at 1 meter, you'll get smacked up. And being long range, you'll definitely get smacked up. And because the long range classes in this game have less defense, well, for the most part, have less defense than the melees, they will definitely be hurt by the attacks because the attacks start ranging anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000. So just try to keep that in mind. Stay out of everyone else's way when it comes to the soul phase. Keep spread apart and keep from being under the boss. I know it's going to be hard for the melee to keep from being under the boss. I know it's going to be tempting to DPS him while he's giving you this free phase where he's just talking. But if you can time it right, roll backwards first, and then roll backwards before he does the suction or the exploding to release your body of your soul, and then get back in there, get your soul, and just complete the mechanic. Now, the other thing is that the hands that you saw on the ground, they will actually slow you. They don't do damage to you, but they will slow you. And what you can do is, if you don't have a movement skill that lets you teleport or blink or rush towards your soul, you can actually use the jump, walking, skip animation to get to your soul faster. What that is you jump to move forward, and that will get you to your soul a lot faster than just trying to trudge through the hand sludge that's on the floor. I don't know what to call that, to be honest. But yeah, those mechanics are at 70% and 35%. Like I said, that's the only mechanics he actually has, besides the pointing the sickle at you and stunning you for whatever animation that is, and doing whatever tech that is. Like I said, I've never been hit by it. None of the people in my guild have been hit by it. It's just an animation that happens. But the boss fight is pretty easy. Like I said, he has medium HP, medium defenses, but that's pretty much it for that part. Now you're gonna go down this corridor here, and you're gonna run into a ton of skeletons, as well as some skeleton archers. And this part you're just gonna want to run through Generally, what the strategy here is to pull all the skeletons back into the hallway, so you have all the archers coming back into the hallway as well. When everything's back into the hallway, you just beat everything in the same spot. Because when you kill the skeleton archers, all the skeletons do fall. But you have to kill all the skeleton archers. So the next boss is Bone Crusher. And this guy has a lot of mechanics, actually. They're not really, it's not really a lot of mechanics. He just does a lot in the period of time that you're going to fight him. He has, I want to say he has high HP. His defense is moderate. I still do the same amount of damage I do as every other boss, so let's say his defense is moderate. But his HP is pretty high, and it's hard to fight him because he's constantly attacking if you're close to him. So what you're going to see is the issues with being a close range on this boss, because he does throw punches, and all his punches are close range. They do max out at about 3 meters, so if you're 3 meters away from him and can still land a hit, you'll be fine. 2 meters is sometimes safe depending on what skill you're doing. If your skill pushes you out of range for the moment that he punches, you'll be fine, like how Earthbreaker does for Berserkers. But if you get hit by a punch, it will put a debuff on you, and that debuff will make you slower. Now, the second time you get hit by a punch, you will be stunned for about, I want to say, a good 10 seconds. Until, well, you'll be stunned for 5 seconds until the input command pops up. And you'll have to input the button to release yourself from the stun. If you fail, you're going to be stunned for the rest of the time, of course. Now, after his 3 punches and then his slam, he does that 3 times. He's going to go ahead and, like, not power up, but do a roar. And that roar is going to push everyone back, and then he's going to go into a jumping phase. During the jumping phase, he jumps to the person that is the furthest in the room every time. And the way this works is if you're in the corner of the room, if the person that's furthest from him is in the corner of the room, he's going to jump to that person. Then the person that's furthest from him at that point is the person he's going to jump to next. He does that 3 times, and then after those 3 times, he's going to do 3 dashes. That's the other part where it becomes a problem, because sometimes people don't actually maintain their correct distance. Generally, what you want to do is you want to be off towards the center of the map if you're not being a target. You want to focus your targets being 2 people with, high defense, high HP, which usually be your Berserkers and your Crusaders. People that don't have to focus on healing or anything, because at the same time there's going to be spikes coming out the ground, there's going to be skeletons running around the room and smacking people. So you kind of just want to focus on having your Crusader and your Berserker be the ones that are the targets for this boss, so he can run at them and jump at them, because it's easy to just get out the way. For the run, you just walk out the way. For the jump, you just roll out the way. Now, when it comes to another mechanic this boss does, at around 70% is when he will actually change up one of his mechanics, to where when he punches 3 times and then does a slam, he will actually do a random jump to the furthest person in the room, and he'll do a spin. And when he does that, the spin does a lot of damage. If you get knocked down and you get caught in the spin, wait till the very last moment you can, and then use a potion if you don't want to die, because usually it will kill you. It usually kills me, to be honest. I don't get caught by it anymore most of the time. There's been one time I've been caught by it since I've gotten used to his mechanics. And other than that, the next thing he does is around 30% is actually where he's going to do another version of his mechanic, to where every time he does his slam, he's going to jump to a random person in the room and do the spin or do a challenge move. Where the challenge move is that he's going to do a roar, like pretty much just a roar in your face. It's not really anything that does damage. He just roars and like shakes his hands, and that's pretty much it. During that phase, you can DPS him. But during the spin, I would say you try to keep away if you're close range. If you're long range, you can go ahead and keep DPSing, of course. For the most part, you just want to make sure that you're out of the boss's way when he's doing his punches. You want to stay out of his way when he's doing his dashes, because the dashes do hurt. And usually, if you're not keeping on top of the damage while the boss is stationary, you're going to be pushing him into the Berserk or getting close to Berserk timer. If he goes Berserk, all of his hits do hurt a lot more. So pay attention for that. And like I said, just keep doing damage as much as you can. This boss it's not really a hard boss, but it does take a lot of patience to get through. And if he goes Berserk, you're going to have to practice a lot more patience when it comes to your dodging, what skills you use, and just general things like that. Pretty much things you learn in a regular dungeon. You have to have patience and time your combos, know when to dodge, because everything is dangerous in this fight. The other thing I wanted to mention is I think is that every time he jumps, he will actually make the spikes come up and down, and every time he roars, he summons skeletons. I want to say that's how that works. I'm not completely sure. I've never been actually able to pay attention to that because I'm kind of busy dodging for my life and staying out of his way. Um, but yeah, for the most part, I think that's how that works. He does actually hit the skeletons whenever he jumps and does his charge, so that's a good thing. It helps you clear them out of the way if you like bait them into where his location is at. Like you just saw it right there. I just baited him into his location just to get him to wipe them out himself. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this boss fight. Once you just find the best time to deal as much damage as you can, you'll get used to his mechanics, and the boss fight is super easy. That's pretty much it. So you beat Bone Crusher, and now you're heading into the final boss fight. But before that boss fight, you're gonna run into a bunch more skeletons. This place is a Berserker and a Crusader's haven because you get to build up a ton of bravery and a ton of rage just off of this area right here. Usually I just go ahead and whirlwind through and then I move on because I get all my rage off of one whirlwind when I'm in that build. But this boss is the actual Lich. And funny that I said that. This guy is kind of annoying to fight, but his fight is super easy. I wouldn't say it's the easiest boss in the dungeon if you don't overdo it. And you'll understand what I say when I finish explaining these mechanics to you. So, this boss does not move. He stands still, so it's a stationary fight. It's a very easy fight as well. But you can screw it up for your entire team if you don't watch your foot placement. And there's multiple times you can screw it up for your entire team. This boss is all about mechanics. And when it comes to this fight, like I said, foot placement is everything. Learning not to push your combos is going to be everything as well. Don't commit to any combo because you can screw yourself over as well as your entire team. Now, when it comes to this boss fight, he starts off, he's going to chain you up, he's going to go through a monologue. When he's done his monologue, that's when you can start the boss fight. Now, his mechanics are really simple to realize. Whenever he opens his book, it's going to either go one color or another. It's going to be purple or it's going to be orangish. It's like an orangish red. I don't know what the exact color of that, but it's the same color as the floor that's on the screen right now. Whenever it does that, he's going to hold his staff up, and it's going to create spikes that come out of the floor. Those do about 4,000 damage to me as a Berserker. I expect they hit classes with less defense more, of course. So watch out for those. Now, when he opens the book and it turns purple, and he holds the staff up and it's purple, that's when he's going to put down this thing called Necrotic Energy. What Necrotic Energy does is that it debuffs your attack, and it makes it so that you move very, very, very slow. And by debuffing your attack, I mean it makes it so that your attacks hit, I think it's 50% less damage that you do. I'm not completely sure because I've never been able to have the chance to open up the menu and just sit there and look at it. I'll probably try to do that later on as a test run if my guild allows me to, because they don't like failing this boss because it's super easy. Now, the problem with this, like I said, when it comes to this part is if you stack the Necrotic Energy on the stairs, he'll do a motion where his staff goes up in the air and it rings erratically. And that is a problem because that's when the purple explodes. And you're going to see the purple on the top of the staff if I'm ever zoomed out to see it. There it is right now. That's when he explodes the purple necrotic energy. They come up with spikes, and when you're hit by those spikes, you take a ton of tick damage over time. It's around 4,000 damage per second, I want to say. Generally, you die from it if you have low HP. If you can pot at the very last second, before you die, if you know your HP is high enough, you'll be able to live. And if you can grab a priest heal that's high enough, you'll be able to live. But usually when you get hit by that at a lower level, you will die. If you come in here at the expected gear score and level, you will probably die. Now, the only other thing about this boss is that he has two phases. He has the shield phase and the DPS phase. At 81%, 51%, and 11%, he has a shield phase. During the shield phase, what you want to do is beat on the shield all the way down, and it's going to make it so where you have to destroy the shield first of all. In the middle of the shield phase at about 5 seconds left, he'll go ahead and raise his staff, and that's gonna show you that this is the point where you need to hurry up and beat the shield phase, because he's gonna summon skeletons directly after that. When he summons skeletons, he's gonna stun you twice. He's gonna summon the skeletons, he's gonna stun you, and then you're gonna be able to break out during the during a input button mechanic, and then he's gonna stun you again directly after that, and you're gonna have to do the same breakout again. The issue with this is that if you're standing still, you're more than likely gonna be murdered by skeletons. That's just a fact. So what you want to do is break out of the first stun and then roll and move around a little bit, and then let the skeletons rush at you if they're focused on you. You should be able to use a potion if you've lost enough life to where you feel like you're in danger. After those two stun phases, you're going to have to go through a DPS check, I want to say 2 seconds after the second stun phase. Now, the DPS check is pretty easy to beat as long as there aren't archers on the field that come up with the skeletons. Now, we don't know how to stop the archers. I've never figured it out. No one in my guild on Xbox has figured it out. So we're still kind of lost on how to stop him from spawning archers. Generally, what you want to do is just beat on the boss for the DPS check, and then after you're done with the DPS check, go fight the archers. The problem with this is that this causes the phase that we like to call Dance Dance Revolution, where the boss goes crazy and starts lighting up the room with red spikes. And the red spikes hurt. They will go all over the room in different patterns, and they will constantly pop up. As well as he'll start dropping the necrotic enemy directly on top of where you're at. And if you're fighting archers a close range class, your damage is going to go down drastically, which is going to take you longer to kill the archer, which means you're going to have to sit there and fight it longer while you're going through Dance Dance Revolution. Once you master his basic mechanics, the boss fight is really easy. Now, he does go berserk, but his berserk doesn't seem to change anything, to be honest. He doesn't do any regular attacks, so he can't hit you with regular attacks, and that's just pretty much the entire fight, even if he goes berserk. I don't know if he actually does anything extra when he goes berserk. We've let him go berserk a few times and he doesn't seem to do anything extra. His attacks don't seem to go any faster. So I want to say that his berserk is pretty much just another lengthy fight. If you let him go berserk, I mean, maybe you'll find something that we never found. But pretty much the entire fight is keeping the purple off of the boss, because you want to be able to deal as much damage as you can to the boss. Staying out of the purple when it explodes, and staying out of the red because the red is just going to deal damage to you regardless. That's pretty much the entire boss fight for this last boss. It is a really easy fight. The only problems are DPS checks, and when you get onto the last DPS check, he usually likes to summon archers on the last one, which makes it super hard. It's like I said, I'm not sure if it's just RNG for the archers. Maybe somebody else will figure this out. But yeah. Now I said you can make this hard on yourself if you're overdoing it. There is a phase in here that if you're dealing too much damage by the time it gets to 11%, if you break the shield too fast, he will glitch. I think it's a glitch, I'm not really sure, but he'll cover the entire room in spikes, except for the very center of the room where the carpet is. So generally what you want to do is make sure one person is actually on the carpet if you guys don't want to wipe, or everybody can retreat when you see that phase coming up and just get to the center to avoid the spikes that will probably one-shot you and clear your entire party out. I'm not sure how you want to run that. Just make sure that you're paying attention to that. We've run into it many times, and we've just had one person stand in the center and just revived at the end and finish the boss fight. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this boss run. It's a really easy dungeon. Hopefully this video helped you out, and I guess like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you in the future. Peace.